you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
What is going on, guys? With anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the world and entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow me and Vash to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all nerds out there. Grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience like none other. Brought to you by Anime We Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. And tonight, it was a very good Monday Night Raw. I've been enjoying these past Monday Night Raws we've been getting ever since WrestleMania ended. It seems like we have a game plan here when it comes to how we want to structure things. Hopefully we can continue that sort of thing on SmackDown, because it would be nice to have that on a Monday and Friday. But I'm not alone today. Outside of the genius of the mat, we also have the visionary, the Messiah, Legend D Vash. How are you doing tonight?
I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words. The genius of the mat is about the legendary human attack fool, the visionary, the monarch, Seth freaking Rollins, always having a goal, telling Braun Breakers, like, yo, you have one mission, one more thing to do before you head home and get on the private plane. I got you. And you could get so Waffle House on Braun Breaker. So no worries, you're good on that. But I need you to attack Jey Uso, so we finally got that. It was a good Monday Night Raw, like Drop said. It was a good show. I had a good time. I had a good sidecast with Watkins where we reacted on Twitch to the show itself. It was a good flat 2 hours and 30-minute show. I thought it was gonna be like ending at 10:35, 10:40, but hey, and that 10:29 EST. At least I know time zones, right? Because, some people don't know time zones. Really cool signs we got as well. I saw the one CM Pope. If anybody knows, we got a new Pope. We lost the Pope, and then we got a new Pope. So that's some pretty cool shit. CM Pope, it's a thing. I never thought that I would get a sign about CM Punk being our Pope. That's pretty funny. And I have a question for you on Drop before we get into it real quick, because it kind of relates to our show. And
Yes.
also, did you get, not saying spoilers going on around from this morning, of a deleted WE tweet that originally said that Rhea was going to walk out on Iyo and then Carrie and Asuka was going to make the save, but then one of them was going to probably betray Iyo in that event. So, did you get something spoiled like that when it came to this morning of Monday Night Raw? Because I did, and I'm sure Watkins did too, because we spoke about it briefly after the match ended.
I did see that, but I know the person came out and said that it was just a whole bunch of bullshit that they made up. Because I was reading the comments of that, and then the person just outright said it right there when a lot of people were talking about it, because that's not something WWE normally does. Like, they give you a little synopsis of what the event's going to be when it comes to the key players like Iyo, Rhea, Giulia, and Roxanne. Like, they talk about, okay, this is what's happening tonight. These two ladies are going up against these other two ladies, but they never really say, okay, this is what the outcome's going to be. Because then if there was some sort of evidence towards that, you would have had some reports saying so-and-so is seen backstage. Because they don't normally keep that hidden as much as we'd like to. And there's like a rare 1% when they sometimes do that, where it's like they don't say anything at all, then the person pops up. But it's like, if you look at how everything's like telegraphed too, it doesn't really make sense to throw that in right away, because you already have Iyo and the rest of them like focusing on something at the moment. So just throwing something like that out of nowhere, really, I feel like it would be a little bit too much to do right off the bat, because it's like, okay, you're throwing Giulia and Roxanne at Iyo, and then all of a sudden one of her friends is going to portray her. Like, I feel like that's a little
a bit too much. Extra exposition. It's just adding more fat to the potato, or more fat to the meat, where like we didn't really expect, and there was no build up. And like people have been asking, like, we need the long term storytelling. And yes, we've been having it now, but you guys want it so fast without no build up, or even what the online community right now, the IWC is talking about. Oh, they're buried, motherfuckers. We're gonna get into that when it comes to our main event later down, after we talk about our highlight of the biggest story of CM Punk and everything. But when it comes to the main event, trust me, we will talk about, you guys, IWC, saying what is the word bury, and we will give you examples, so no worries. But anything else you want to add before we get, straight into it?
The one thing I was going to add, but it's probably not the right time for it, because I do want to lead us into our opening segment, but I know WWE posted something on their Twitter account about a situation developing backstage between Roxanne and Giulia. So I don't know if you wanted to listen to that conversation, so we could tie that in a little bit later, just so we know what they're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. We could definitely tune that in.
Because I don't want
to.
because I don't want to. I mean, I could send it on Twitter, but I don't want to like listen to it right now, because I want to make sure we talk about the stuff going on with CM Punk first, because that was something that I was looking forward to when it came to our headline story of the night. Because every time CM Punk comes back, and every time he has a microphone in hand, that's always a very exciting thing to see, because he was saying things online over the weekend when it came to John Cena, saying, okay, he's not going to be having that championship for long. So even though I didn't really expect him to say that, there was still part of me thinking he might bring something up like that, because CM Punk is very unpredictable when it comes to the sort of things that comes out of his mouth. And he's one of those guys that doesn't hold back. And what we had was
he also did tweet it on the IG story about John Cena, winning the match. So it kind of implies a lot, but without giving answers. Like, you beg questions, but you don't get answers yet until he's ready to tell you in his mic bomb.
Yeah, exactly. Because we had him come out here, and he was pretty much talking a lot of shit when it came to Seth, Braun, and Paul Heyman. He was pretty much attacking Paul Heyman at first, pretty much just, calling him a pile of garbage because of all the history that they've been through. And he was saying that he wanted to vent out a lot of frustration. And then he said there's only one person that, like, he was really mad at. And you would think probably in the top of your head, oh, it's probably Paul Heyman because of the big thing revolving around him. Or it's Seth Rollins. You would probably think it was him. Or I wasn't thinking this, but maybe Braun Breaker. But he came out and said that he blamed himself because he should have known better, because he's been in this situation before. And it was really interesting to see him vent out that sort of frustration. He was going up against Paul. He was going up against Seth. And Braun Breaker, he's pretty much able to hold his own. No surprise there at CM Punk. But he was pretty much able to hold his own when he was going back and forth with those guys. Mainly like when he was talking with Paul and Heyman and Seth Rollins, because, Braun Breaker was just there, just doing his own thing. And then we ended up seeing like a whole brawl breakout. And then when I saw it happen, I'm like, okay, this is very interesting, because I like the sort of direction we're going down, where we have this story developing with Seth Rollins, which is honestly one of the things that I look forward to every Monday night. I'm always looking forward to seeing how this is going to develop over time, because they mentioned before that, you know, this right here, and I believe Paul Heyman or somebody mentioned that how this story is going to bring us from where we are now all the way up until WrestleMania 42. And you never know, it might go beyond that depending on how far the story develops. And we see right here that you got Punk going up against Braun, and then Seth intervenes, and then you got Sami Zayn coming out, which makes sense because he was involved with everything going on. And then you had Jey Uso getting involved as well, which made sense because of what happened last week. And I like Jey being involved here, like outside of the whole Logan thing, because that's just a little side quest for Jey. He's just doing that for the time being. But the main reason why I like Jey being involved here is because it makes him feel important. And it's not me saying that Jey isn't important, because obviously he is. He's the world heavyweight champion. But it makes him feel important in a way where he's involved in a very big storyline when it comes to, I guess you could say, the big storyline in Monday Night Raw, where you have this thing going on with Seth Rollins, Braun, and Paul Heyman. And you throw him in there, he's pretty much taking all of that energy as well that's revolving around all the other guys that was involved. And then you obviously know later down the line, things are going to extend even further when it comes to Jey, because I know we talked about it on here of, you know, Seth and him potentially having a match at SummerSlam, and more than likely you're going to have, like, Seth Rollins get the title or whatever, and you're just going to see, like, how things, like, evolve from, you know, point A to point B when it comes to this. So I like Jey's involvement here, especially with what we saw later on in the night where, you know, you had Seth talking to Braun backstage about this little deed he wanted him to do, then ended up taking out Jey in the back, and then we have a match scheduled next week. So I like how things are taking its time.
Also a non-title match next week. How do you feel about that?
Because I like that too, because it's good to get title matches every so often on a Monday Night Raw, but it does not need to happen every single time. It doesn't need to happen every single time. And plus, you know, I don't want Braun in that situation yet, because I feel like what we're witnessing right here at Braun, it's going to lead up to that moment. So it's like, I'd rather them take their time and really pan that out so we can actually get there properly. Because, you know, whenever Jey goes up against somebody, I want it to be like, I'll put my title on the line. I'll put my title on the line, because it's like, we don't really need to be doing that. And we also know that the whole thing revolving the title right now, since he's the big honcho of the group, is Seth Rollins. So it's like, you gotta have to save that spot for him. So I have no issues with this being a non-title match, because there's still some unpredictable things that could happen, because I don't expect this match to end clean anyway. I expect shenanigans to play out, because we have a Saturday night's main event being scheduled with Sami Zayn and CM Punk against Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins. So obviously you're going to want to build towards that match without giving, you know, anything away like that soon. You'll get a little preview of it with, like, Braun's case, because obviously Jay's busy with Logan. But you at least see what Braun's mindset is right now.
A big shout out to what you said, because me and Watkins said this on a sidecast that Logan Paul should interrupt the match some way capacity. He shouldn't do a random punch wearing a black hoodie again. No, he should, like, actually interrupt or be involved in some way, shape, or form, because Jey Uso just coming out tonight, because I know we're gonna also talk about this after, because it kind of connects with, you know, Gunther and everything. But Jey Uso last week was supposed to have a match at Backlash, got moved to Saturday Night Main Event, and he got hit by Logan Paul. Came out this week, had his little concert, but then only promote the fight, but have no feud build up. So a lot of people could be like me, like, okay, we got what we got, or they wanted more and are upset about that. So it just builds where in this Braun Breaker match that might be the main event, Logan Paul should interrupt or be involved in some way, because it will help build up the match and the story. And my question to you is, we know that we have right here CM Punk and Sami Zayn. They both came out. We're going to have a match as well for Saturday Night Main Event that got announced. That's going to be Braun Breaker and Seth versus Sami Zayn and and CM Punk. This was a smart way to get out of the 3 versus 3 with Jay right now included, because Jay can have his match with Logan Paul. So they could save the build of having a third person, or they're still trying to decide who is the third person possibly. But I like what they're doing in the workaround of the scheduling to not have them yet have the 3 versus 3. Having the 2 versus 2 right now is a smart tag team type of move to build up and most likely have Seth win over there in that match to build their team dynamic and this type of direction of the company.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for it to head down that direction because, you know, we'll talk about it a little bit. We really didn't get any sort of progression with Logan Paul and Jey Uso on the show tonight as well. When Jay came out, he didn't really say much, and we'll of course dive into that. But I feel like that's probably one of the outcomes that you could see next week, because you got to add a little something there to really like build towards that match. And then once they have that final interaction with one another, actually, the thing's next week. Okay, yeah, never mind. So yeah, you gotta have something play out between the both of them. For some reason, I thought it was in 2 weeks, but yeah, it's next week. So
right around the corner.
Yeah, so you gotta have something play out between the both of them. So yeah, that makes the most sense. The only thing that
I was just gonna add, from what you said earlier in the beginning of this coverage about CM Punk, I like that he took accountability of calling himself that he is the one most to blame, or the one that he takes blame to himself. It's like he's more mad that his trust issues, even when Sami Zayn came later, like in the locker room, like, hey, I'm sorry, right now is a bad time to trust people, as you could tell. And then Sami Zayn, gives an explanation like, hey, I trusted you for War Games. You had my back. I had your back. We could do the same thing now. So I love how they reference things that just happened recently and still connects to the moral of the story, the moral of the message. So it's a very smart point towards that.
Yeah.
But then I love how my question to you is that people need to remember that these are characters. So when it comes to CM Punk, his right now is accountability, but Seth Rollins is kind of portraying that CM Punk is doing the manipulation, trying to gaslight other people, trying to make him look like the bad guy, but also Seth is trying to portray that CM Punk is becoming or is portraying the victim in the hero story. Like, you're the one that's putting all the blame on yourself, but then you say you have accountability, but you don't show it. You're coming here and trying to attack me more, but I already have moved on. So I love how Seth plays his mind games by also saying that, hey, they think they underestimate us, but I'm the one that already been having plans. So I love how he shows that he is like this mastermind, this person that has 5-10 steps ahead than most people will have 1 to 3 steps ahead. So I really appreciate that. So my question to you and Chad, how do you feel like the characters in their symbolism aspect of, playing the victim, the gaslighting, the accountability aspect?
I really do like it because it makes things a lot more interesting when it comes to both fields, especially if you look at the whole, situation that we saw backstage of Sami Zayn and CM Punk, where even though they're working alongside each other at that Saturday night's main event, CM Punk still doesn't trust anybody. And you can't really blame him considering everything that's been happening as of recent. So it's like, you look at that whole entire thing going on with him and Sammy, and even Sammy came out and says, listen, I felt the same way, but we still teamed together at War Games, and we got the job done. So we got to let bygones be bygones, and we just got to, work together. We have a similar goal in mind to take out these two guys so we can get back on track again. So I like how there's like different things we can like dissect when it comes to Sammy, Punk, and Seth, and Braun Breaker, and Paul Heyman. It makes things really interesting. And one of the other things that I notice a lot of other people bringing up is the potential of a third man happening. And I don't believe it's going to be Logan Paul like a lot of people are saying, because obviously Logan Paul, a lot of people are saying, oh, just because he gets himself involved next week, which is a realistic thing because he has to build that match with Jay, they come up with this thing where it's like, okay, he's gonna insert himself and he's going to become the third man of the group. I mean, that doesn't really make any sort of sense.
It doesn't.
So
It doesn't. I'm trying to understand it visually, drop, and I'm like,
you can't. You can't
really have Logan there to like.
No,
Paul hasn't spoken to Logan before. No, like we haven't had a little small reference of Seth speaking to Logan or even Paul.
No.
Or why would Seth want him there when they have had a match before WrestleMania? Like Seth don't even like Logan as a character.
Exactly.
So like, how do we see?
No,
if you're gonna choose somebody, at least make it fucking make sense.
I know, like this is what I mean, and we're definitely gonna dive into something a little bit later that definitely ties back into that. But it's like it's just a random thing to bring up. Like Logan Paul's not going to be the third man. He's not going to get involved. He's just there to have this match with Jey at Saturday night's main event, and then he's going to go home afterwards and do whatever he needs to do because Jey's not involved in this tag match. So whenever Jey, and also Jey had, like we'll dive a little bit more into Jey. I don't want to spoil anything right here, but I'll just leave it off with this. Jey just has other things lined up even beyond this match, so he's not really worried about inserting himself right away with whatever's going on. We obviously know who that third guy is going to be for Sammy and Punk, and that's Roman whenever he comes back. But you got to factor in, okay, who's the third man going to be for those guys? And I don't know, but I have a feeling that there's a good possibility that we might get that on Saturday night's main event. We might actually find out who this third man might be, because when you look at Seth Rollins as a character, you know, he's always one step ahead. He always knows like how to align things the correct way, so his plan works out the way that he wants it to. And there was reports saying that Roman Reigns was going to be back by like sometime in June. I believe they said he was probably going to be back before Money in the Bank. So you could easily do another tag match where it's Punk, Roman, because you got to throw him in there. You can't just have Punk and Sammy, you know, clean up everything and Roman goes off and does his own thing. He still factors into it because he was a part of the attack. So you could have those three guys against whoever else is the person in mind for, you know, Sammy and Braun when it comes to the other guy that they want to help elevate in that group. And I don't really know on the top of my head. It's kind of hard to really make any predictions. I feel like once we get who the reveal is, if it does indeed happening, which I feel like it has to if you have these three guys, because you can't just have Sammy, Punk, and Roman have like a 3 against 2 guys. That's not fair. And Paul Heyman's not going to get in the fucking ring and have a match
unless
with them.
Unless you make Braun Breaker like the next Brock Lesnar and just make him OP and then like just have his stats go or like, you know, plus ultra and surpass your fucking limits, then that's a different type of beast. But look, we speculated as third person, I believe, 2 episodes ago of 2 weeks ago of Raw episodes. If anyone will go check out the playlist of Raw, because we do have that. I can't wait until we get the reveal, is because once we could break down the psychology of why they chose this person, because I know one of my choices was Drew McIntyre, but what Drop mentioned 2 minutes ago, that the choice of that third person is also who they want to push within the company. Drew McIntyre is already a huge star. Yeah. This man gets a pop. This man gets scream. He has screaming fans. He has a lot of love from the audience. So the question is, who is the person that they want to elevate and become the next type of bigger star? That's the question.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Drew could still fit if they want to have some sort of plans with him, but I feel like he already has things going on in SmackDown. Especially if he wants to, you know, still go after the U.S. title or whatever he has planned over there. It feels like the team will mainly be focused on Raw people. I could be wrong, but it seems like that's the theme as of now. But, like, I feel like once we know who that person is and it gets revealed to us, we could probably piece it together so we can get an understanding of, like, okay, that makes sense why this person is here now. Because I feel like once you get the reveal, things add up right away. You're like, okay, that makes sense. You know, we could see how things were potentially lined up in the past, not necessarily tying into whatever storyline they have going on right now, but basically let's, you know, look at what the character's been doing and we could sort of come up with some sort of idea of like you know, how things led to where that person is now.
Yeah, I see what you're coming from with that aspect. Like, it just makes it more to the character of what Drew and others could lead up to and follow. Even so, like, we had Ric Flair, Triple H, and I believe Batista and Randy Orton. So,
Yeah.
like, Drew could play that other role of a person that is already high up there, like Seth. So it will play well with that character. Now we have Braun, and now we need somebody else to build. So we still have the criteria to build and push the agenda for another type of superstar, going in. So I can't wait to see where else goes. When it comes to CM Punk, when it comes to Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn, we're gonna continue building up the story for them by next week Raw episode. I like how each of them, each Raw and SmackDown, kind of feels right now a bit of self-contained, and that feels very appreciative as a fan.
Yeah. So I am looking forward to seeing how this develops next week, because I would assume that match with Jay and Braun Breaker is going to close out the show next week. I feel like that makes the most sense. So do you have any further thoughts and any other things you want to add, or?
No, on this I'm good. I'm ready to go to my ring general.
Yeah, so now we can actually talk about Jey Uso now, so we could explain what we were trying to talk about before, because we wanted to structure things properly so we could give you guys a better idea where we're coming from here. But yeah, so we had Jey Uso coming out, and he was pretty much here to help build that match with Logan Paul at Saturday Night's Main Event. And like I discussed a little bit earlier, there really wasn't as much development when it comes to that match. You'll probably get that little thing next week if he attacks him or whatever towards the end of the match. So it's like there really wasn't anything revolved around Logan. I guess that's mainly saved for next week. The real thing that this really revolved around was with Gunther.
Why did we get a social media build from LA Knight and Logan Paul for their US title, but then when it comes to Jey Uso and Logan Paul, we're not getting much of that? Do you think it's just poor time management from from the booking of
Yeah.
Logan Paul and Jey Uso, or do you think it's like a bit of Logan and it's just his scheduling since he's so busy nowadays with being a parent and with Prime and everything? Because it's kind of I see the difference of last year when it comes to the U.S. title against LA Knight. We had him going to his house. We had a few type of social media posts going on. We had a few things being said. But when it comes to Jey Uso and Logan Paul, there's not much of a buildup. And right now, to only have two appearances, it kind of makes it like I see why people in the back of the locker room hates Logan Paul, because he only comes where he wants to or gets paid. So it just shows that ideology aspect. It's like, yo, you're supposed to build up a match that got pushed from the card from Backlash to now another card 2 weeks from now, and you're not going to build it up for the next 2 episodes of Raw. It kind of feels flat.
Yeah, it does, and I guess that's probably why it's on Saturday Night's Main Event, because outside of like a couple of the matches that was announced, because I'm not going to say that the tag match that was announced with Sammy and Punk and get Seth and Braun is a throwaway match, because it's not. But this sort of feels like a throwaway match, because there really isn't anything to digest here. It's just Jey Uso coming out after he won the title, Logan Paul coming out wanting a title match because he has a little momentum under his feet because he beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania. So that's honestly how I really looked at it, and there was a part of me that really wasn't expecting much out of it anyway, just based on what we were giving us.
And then what we had a follow up with that, Watkins got pissed off about this, and I'm curious if you did too. That kind of WWE kind of spoiled the results of Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, because after this and Money in the Bank, most likely, because I believe Gunther said June 9th, I believe. And I believe Money in the Bank is on June 7th, unless they're going to do it on a Monday Night Raw. But a month from that, either way, Gunther will be facing the winner of Logan versus Jey, which is obviously they'll be Jey. And they will be having their round 2 of this match.
Yeah, that June 9th is the Monday Night Raw after the Money in the Bank. Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be on a regular Raw, and that'll be pretty
probably in the main
interesting if
event.
that is the case. Probably as a main event, and probably it'll be building up a story. Most likely, Seth will interrupt or something that night to stop it or to build up the story.
I mean, I know what it is. I don't know if I want to tell you.
What? Or like maybe have a build up for the Night of Champions.
Yeah, who has a special attraction there? A guy who like hits his head against a fucking locker.
I don't know.
Goldberg.
I don't know.
Goldberg.
Yes, I saw the reports. I saw the rumors. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, because he has this whole thing where it's like the people over there love him because his presence was. I'm not taking it away because there's people out there that like him and there's people out there that don't. That's completely fine. I'm not gonna fight you against that. But it's like whenever they do have events in Saudi, that's usually like his playing field when it comes to like, okay, you want to have a special thing going on right there? Here you go. Goldberg and a lot of people over there, which we've seen before when it comes to a lot of certain attractions they have at these Saudi events. They end up doing stuff like that. But I know one of the popular theories that I'm seeing now to build to that, since that is towards the end of June, is you're gonna have this match with Jey and Gunther, and either he comes in as a distraction, or it ends up becoming no contest, and then you start having Gunther's eyes go from Jey to him, and then you pretty much just build to that match because they already said he's having a retirement match.
Yeah, and we did hear that. Which is like, yo, I forgot where's his line from. I believe the Fairy Odd Parents or some shit. But like, nobody wants your old man.
Oh
nobody
no,
wants your old man.
Oh
like,
no,
really?
Yeah.
Like, come on, like. Let the young people that are entertaining us continue doing the thing. I love it when Seth Rollins told The Rock, it's like, yo, we don't need you, old man. Go back to Hollywood.
Yeah.
We're doing well without you. The same thing, like I continue saying with Seth Rollins, it is proven to a fact to the T that The Rock is continuing Hollywood. He's doing his thing. We don't need him as of now, as of yet. So just to see Goldberg coming back is like...
Yeah, I don't really care about it either. I think like JD said it like the best way when I was listening to his backlash review the other day. I actually listened to it last night. He pretty much said like, yeah, nobody gives a fuck about this match, and I don't care about him either. But if you're gonna get it over and done with, the pay-per-views at the end of the month, you clear that out of the way. You got money. You got SummerSlam and all these other things like in front of you. So
I'd rather this event happens on Night of Champions or on a POA that I don't really care or too invested on. I'm like, okay, cool. It happens is what it is.
Yeah.
But to kind of connect this back to the main action type of segment we're discussing about Gunther and Jey Uso, like Gunther's telling him like, yeah, you haven't told the audience, you haven't told, but you know what? Let me tell them for you that whoever wins of the fight of Logan versus you, I will be versus the champion. I'm like, okay, so that was obvious. We know that Logan's not winning now because we're not gonna see Logan versus Gunther. So we're gonna get Gunther versus Jey. I was telling Walkers during the sidecast, look, as a fan watching from home, I'm not a fan of round 2 yeet type of concert. If I was in the arena, in the stadium within them, I would be like, yeah, round 2, let's all eat together. Fuck yeah, I'm with the concert, I'm with the momentum. But if you have me at home watching another 5-minute or 3-minute of fucking Pat McAfee and fucking Michael Cole yeeting, I don't need that shit. As much as I love Jay and everything, yo, I love your concerts, but that round 2 fucking yeet thing is starting to get okay. I don't mind it. As a content creator, it's just fun because you just talk to your co-hosts and just make conversation. But imagine just watching at home by yourself or with friends, you'd be like, yeah.
I mean, if I had tickets to every WWE event, I would get annoyed by that, seeing that every single time he comes out.
Yeah, that's a good shirt guy probably gets tired of it.
Yeah, because like even watching it at home, like I got annoyed by it because I was like, okay, like what are we doing here? I get it, he's over, and if people haven't seen it before, then they want to give him something nice, but it comes to a point where you could only do it so much until it gets old. And this isn't like the first time we brought this up. Like, we brought it up probably leading into WrestleMania as well. Like, when he won the title and he came out on that Monday Night Raw, that's fine, whatever. You know, big celebration, big moment.
And then the second week, SmackDown.
But
third.
It's like the after Mania moment was fine, like when they brought it back. But it's like constantly doing it, like building into WrestleMania and everything like that. Like, even like around the Royal Rumble time, like the first time was fine, but then doing it over and over again, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's just overdone. Like, you can't keep feeding somebody the same thing until they get tired of it after a while. They want to try something else the next day. It's just, it gets really repetitive at times. So it's like, I definitely agree with that. I didn't really care about it at all. But the real meat and potatoes here really is like, you already have a road paid for Jey anyway, which is what I alluded to earlier in the first segment. I mean, will he be part of the whole Seth thing? Sure, probably after he deals with Logan and Gunther, and he'll probably be a big part of it heading into summer when it comes to a SummerSlam or everything. But he already has things he needs to deal with. So it's like, you have this lined up with him, so obviously the other guys are going to be focusing on whatever's going on right here. But I mean, there really wasn't as much to really pull out of this segment, because you were thinking, because you were thinking it was going to be a little something with Jey and Logan, but just transition to just him and Gunther. So there really wasn't anything mind blowing.
The last thing to add, a cherry on the top, my boy Jey got attacked by Braun Breaker. He did the mission that our boy Seth Rollins told him to do. Ludwig Kaiser was in the middle of having an interview, and the cameraman said, "Oh no, I gotta go catch this." And then Braun Breaker did the thing. I kept laughing because I was telling Watkins that in the kayfabe aspect, they're right now enemies. But in outside of the story, in real life, they're friends and they're gym buddies. So it's just knowing that Braun Breaker has to be mean to his gym buddy, like, yeah, that's where you're gonna pick up those bench press, punk. Yeah. So that's what I'm kind of imagining in my head, chat. Like, that's kind of my canon, just to see that. But then we had, Sammy, and we had CM Punk coming out, try to protect Jake, just getting after attack from Braun Breaker. And that's all we got from the segment. That's all.
Yeah, we did touch on that a little bit earlier.
Other than that, we had the main event of fucking Iyo Sky, Rhea Ripley versus Giulia and Roxanne Perez. And according to the IWC, dropped this box, supposedly our two main attractions from NXT are buried.
No, not two. There's only one that they're saying is.
Oh, my apologies. One.
Giulia, that's what they're saying. That's the whole narrative going around.
Oh, my apologies. That Giulia is buried compared to the other superstars. That she's losing this match on the main event against the world champion of the woman division and one of the biggest star that people literally have calling her mommy, literally in the whole arena, telling her to tag in for a hot tag, and she's buried. That's crazy. But Drop, tell me about this match. How do you feel about this main event of one of the best four ladies in the woman division of the company?
This was a pretty big moment for the four of them, because you have Iyo Sky and Rhea Ripley, which they're pretty much established already, so they have their fans, people love them. And now you have Giulia and Roxanne, which are the two rising stars that are going to be here for the future of the company. And they're getting a main event with the two, top girls right now on Raw, or if you want to say within the company itself, because you don't normally get that sort of opportunity with like any person, like especially when it comes to Giulia's like first match on Monday Night Raw. She's involved in a main event where she's tagging with Roxanne and she's going up against Rhea Ripley and Iyo Sky. Like, you should feel happy that you're in a moment like that, because you're able to share the ring with Iyo and Rhea. Like, that's a pretty big moment itself, because I thought this was going to get placed in the middle of the show, but when I found out when they were starting off Raw that this match was going to take place as the main event, I was happy, because it gives the women a good showcase. It gives them another main event, and I really appreciated that. And I thought Iyo and Rhea worked very well with one another. I thought Giulia and Roxanne worked very well with one another as well. It was a very entertaining match throughout. Agreed. Obviously, with the backgrounds that Iyo and Giulia have, with their times being in Stardom and, just outside of WWE itself when it comes to the things that they learned.
And it was mentioned as well during commentary. Stardom was mentioned during the commentary and saying that they both were champions of the division as well. So that was beautiful to hear that it was mentioned.
Yep. So it's like with that in mind, they obviously know the sort of wrestling style they have over there compared to the one that they have over here. So if they're going up against one another, they could easily tap into that considering the sort of knowledge that they have, which you could tell once they were in the ring with that, they were doing things that they were familiar with. So they can give, the audience a special look when it comes to two Jossy wrestlers, really going at it in the ring. And I really liked it. It was a good match throughout. And it's like the thing that you brought up once we started diving into this segment, like people are saying that Giulia's buried mainly because she got pinned by Rhea Ripley. Like you're acting like, and I don't mean this by any disrespect, but you're acting like she got pinned by like Maxine Dupree or just some random person coming from the crowd. Like you're acting like she got buried by somebody that's going to ruin her credibility at all.
Yeah, by somebody, LFG or Evolve, pin Roxanne Perez, and like that shows more buried. Or aka what John Cena said during his tour in Europe and said that I buried the Nexus. I buried the person that's even on commentary, Wade Barrett. Those are the people that John Cena actually has buried within the company and is obviously known within the fans. So, Chad, saying buried in 2025,
they don't know what it means.
Losing it. You don't know what that means. Like seeing your favorite superstar, like for example, you want to know a good example, Chad? I have, as a fan, we lost a few superstars by the releases a couple weeks ago. I'm a fan of Dakota Kai. I'm a fan of Kate of Kaden and Katana. I'm a fan of those three girls in the women division. They're buried. You want to know how they're buried? They have no TV time. They go in and have a match and lose within 2 minutes, aka Kaden and Katana, who are literally known as a tag team partners within the division, and they lose for people that just got Randall, aka Bailey and Lyra. They became team members and they lost towards them. Those are being buried and having no TV time on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, and you're being put on aka Evolve, or you're being put on the Speed, or you're being put on 205. That is being buried because you're being put on the streaming platform where a lot of people may not tune in or not seeing the main roster show. That is being buried. But for Giulia to be on a main event match, her first one on the main roster, and also have beautiful aura throughout the event.
She got an 8K entrance too.
8K entrance. Thank you, John, for mentioning that. Me and Walkers were confused. We were trying to figure out, is that 8K or 4K? We couldn't tell because after that transition. But the entrance was beautiful. The outfit always reminds me of fucking Mortal Kombat, of my boy Scorpion. So it always gives me that homage to it. But you're telling me that Giulia is buried when she literally was the NXT champion for a short time. You could talk about her reign being short. You could talk about her character being on NXT kind of short for a year, but you have to honestly remember this. One last thing to add before I pass it back to Job is this: she's been in the pro wrestling entertainment industry for fucking years, at least 5-10 years. So you say that she went up within a year? Makes sense. She has more experience than most women in that locker room in the NXT division, other than Roxanne and a few others. So she has a lot of experience compared to others. So for her to go within less than a year in the NXT division and then go to main roster with Roxanne, because my question to you Drop, do you think the original idea for Roxanne was to go up with Cora Jade, but since Cora Jade hasn't really improved or develop, they axed that idea and put Giulia? How do you think of that? Because I think that was the original concept. Because when me and Wonkus was watching Sidecast, we both were like, See, Roxanne and Giulia is an awesome combo, great chemistry, but it feels kind of off, like they were not supposed to be the original tag team type of duo, but it still works.
It definitely seemed like the plan, but it seemed like once we were getting close to those little announcements when it came to the releases and everything, it seemed like they started pairing these two together because they knew something was coming. Because you even had this whole thing play out at Stand and Deliver where Roxanne walked out on Cora and they weren't really around each other as much anymore, and they just sent Cora over to TNA where she was just doing things over there. Because they were kind of like teasing something with them where it's like, oh, is there going to be some tension? Are they going to have a match at Stand and Deliver to resolve their beef? And then Cora's going to win, and then Roxanne gets moved up to the main roster and she does her thing over there. So it's like this definitely was supposed to be Cora, but they paired her with Giulia because, I mean, you look at her, she came
on paper,
yeah, I believe it's like around the fall of, or maybe like midsummer of last year. I don't remember when that No Mercy pay-per-view was last year, but that's when Giulia debuted. And then it goes from there all the way up into where we are right now in May, where she got a call up that fast. So it's like they obviously see a lot in her. They know that she's going to go places when it comes to whatever she does in the future on the main roster. And you got to keep in mind, this is her first match on Monday Night Raw. So just right off the bat, you're saying
as a main event.
Yeah, but it's like you're saying that her whole future is like doomed just because she lost one match. Like I don't get this whole entire thing where it's like you gotta win matches in order to really mean something. I mean, goddamn, you know,
win some, you lose some.
Exactly. It's like, are you gonna say Cody Rhodes is buried because John Cena beat him at WrestleMania to win his 17th title? Are you gonna say that? People said that. Yeah, people are gonna say that, and then you see him come back, and you're gonna start cheering him again. Cody's at the point where he's bulletproof. Seth Rollins is bulletproof. CM Punk is bulletproof.
Roman Reigns is bulletproof.
Yeah, Roman Reigns is bulletproof. Becky Lynch is bulletproof. Charlotte Flair
is bulletproof.
Yeah, she's bulletproof. What was I gonna say? Charlotte Flair. Yeah, she's bulletproof as well. Bianca's bulletproof. Asuka's bulletproof. So it's
by
like,
the way, quick side comment. Have you seen our girl Bianca's finger? I saw her tweet about that. That shit was insane. Oh no, that shit's like a whole bump right in the middle. That shit's insane. Quick side comment about that, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I never saw that. But it's like, it's just weird because it's like, why are you gonna predict somebody's future off of one match? It doesn't make sense. It's like, if you're a fan of this person, just ride the wave with them. Don't automatically assume just because. See, this is where the frustration comes from. Is that they have this whole entire idea implanted in their head, and if it doesn't go the way that they want it to go, they'll throw a fit online, they'll complain about it, and you'll see a whole bunch of people riding the wave with them. So if it doesn't align with their thought process, it's pretty much doom post after doom post after doom post. That's what I notice. And I'm not saying that's not a normal thing, because that happens with a lot of people. They have this perfect idea planted in their head, and if it doesn't go the right way, they throw a fit. But sometimes, you know, like us, we make predictions. It doesn't happen. We're like, okay, we don't give a fuck. We're having fun with it. We don't give a shit.
I'm being wrong. I'm not the booker. I'm literally the critic. As somebody who works in the industry, knows about acting, knows about camera. It's fun to give you the introspect of that. I sometimes don't know all the wrestling movesets still, but hey, you guys have my co-host as Drop. My other co-host, Wankas, that knows more of the movesets and gets into, you know, the grappling aspect of wrestling. I give more of the entertainment, the story aspect. So we all have our different perspective. Are we each of them wrong? No, sometimes we agree. But I want to add towards you, how I just explained how each of us have our own personality. We tell you our opinions about the story that we're watching, right? But guess what? We're also watching a show that has that same thing, commentators. Michael Cole was dead at saying about this commentating, about this match, saying that we have Roxanne and Giulia who would be future champions in their career because of how great they are. If you have Michael Cole talking highly enough about Roxanne and Giulia in their career already, where Roxanne has the fucking moniker, she literally has the name called Prodigy, and we have Giulia, who literally has come from Japan into stardom, into what she's doing now in WWE, and you're calling her Barry? Yeah, fucking insane. Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, don't just throw random names like, in the anime and manga community, aka this arrow or the word mid. People will just throw those random things out of the window like it's nothing. So it's like, don't say something's Barry when they're not the case. If you're sad that she took the pin, because one thing I agree. Me and Watkins, our theory was that Rhea would take the pin, and it would be either Giulia or Roxanne giving it. I gave our girl Giulia being the option that she might be taking the win and pinning Rhea. That was my theory during the sidecast. But then once it didn't happen, that Rhea pinned Giulia, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I wonder where we'll go. And chat, audience, IWC, it doesn't matter if you don't know where the direction is at the moment. As a fan, it's okay to be frustrated, to like, oh, where can they go next? That's fine. This is what weekly television is. This is a live action fucking soap opera. You got to remind yourself that. So if we don't know where it is, this is where you as a fan could speculate. This is where you as a content creator could speculate. Where me and Drop are talking about the show right now as our after show, see where it could go and where it could go forward with these ladies. Roxanne right now and Giulia, just because they lost don't mean that they can come back for another round 2 next week. That's a normal thing. Just because you lost one battle don't mean you lost the war.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring up a good example. Look where Bayley was years ago, and then look at her now. She had her big moment last year. She won the Royal Rumble. She won the world title at WrestleMania when she beat Iyo, and she was able to get back in that light again that she was so far away from. And Iyo wasn't the shiniest star in the sky either, because she really wasn't where she was now years ago when Damage Control first formed. A lot of people didn't really care about her. She didn't really get any reaction. And you look at her now, people love her. People do her emo whenever she does it.
She had a fucking emo where people literally be doing this in the background now. We had Rhea even did the emo with her, be like, and literally just got hit. Like, just showing that she's so over now by the fans. That even she has a picture at the headquarters that she has an emo with the fans. The background of the fans are even doing a with her. It shows the love, and the fans are just with her and just behind her. It shows the love for her.
If you want to bring up a man, I mean, LA Knight's another example too. Remember how far down the bush LA Knight was all those years ago?
The current one that we're watching right now, Karrion Kross, as another example.
That's actually a great example. Look at him now. He's selling out merch. People are giving him reactions. So it's like things take time. I mean, I even seen people bring up the fact where it's like Giulia should have like pinned Iyo or something. I don't know what that would have done. Like, just to get a world title match out of that would be a little counterproductive. I don't know if you really want to rush.
And then Iyo's gonna win that. Like, look, if you guys want that match, SummerSlam.
Yeah,
if you want to build that, and right there, SummerSlam night 1, night 2, and if you want Asuka or Carrie to come back, right there will be the perfect time.
Yeah,
because SummerSlam is where they came back with with Damage Control 3 years ago.
Yeah,
SummerSlam is a perfect spot to do that again.
And another thing that would have happened out of that, Vash, if that thing I said were to happen, then people would complain that why did the champion get pinned? So it's like you can't really win with these people because if something they want to happen, the other person's not gonna like it. Like, oh, I want Giulia to beat Iyo. Why did the champion get pinned? Oh, I wanted Giulia to beat Rhea, which I agree with that. That would have made sense. But if they didn't go down there, hey, that's fine. But it's like you can't win with these people sometimes. That's why we wanted to have like that little mini rant here, because the moral of the story before like we move on and everything, just to talk about the little closing moments of the match itself. Just patience. Just have patience when it comes to how everything is operating, because it's only been 3 weeks. Not everything has been thrown in there when it comes to the story. Like, a lot of people are clamoring for a third man for Seth Rollins' group. We'll get there. The seeds are getting planted. A lot of people want Cody to come back. He'll come back. Now's not the time because I need to have that burn with Cena winning. Have Cody go away for a little bit. He'll be loved when he comes back. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
So it's like, just let the lady, Giulia and Roxanne, be fine, because this isn't going to be the last time they're going to lose matches, because they're going to win some and they're going to lose some. That's all. That's a part of the game. But just talking about the closing part of this match itself, Iyo and Rhea got the win. Like we discussed, Rhea ended up pinning Giulia. And then we get a closing shot of them celebrating together, but they're both holding the title. Iyo obviously acknowledges Rhea Ripley, okay, me and you are going to go again one day. And that seems to be a tease planted for the future. We don't know when. They could take their time with that, however they want to orchestrate that.
I'm not rushing that, and I'm glad it doesn't feel like I remember people complain about Iyo Sky if she won the title. A lot of people didn't want her reign to be like a transitional champion. So I'm very happy that it's been a success in the exposure and her being over the fans. It just shows that they made the right decision, and I'm hoping that once Rhea does get her title back in the future, I'm not in a rush for it. I like Rhea right now without a title. She's being involved in story. She's being involved in main event, and her character, even though we had a beautiful promo a good 5 weeks ago, or a good 6 weeks ago, was it? But we never kind of follow up that clearly. But I'm holding on to hope it continue seeing that character of her grow, and that's the point of it. So I'm here, patient, like you said, Job. I am listening like a fan, patient.
Exactly. So moving on to our next segment, which is the AJ Styles versus Finn Balor match. And this was a pretty good match. I really liked it. Crowd seemed to be very into it. There was "this is awesome" chants. But we actually had a story play out a little bit in the beginning when it came to, okay, how are we going to go from where we are in the beginning of the show to where we are now with this match between AJ Styles and Finn Balor? Because pretty much we had Dom going up to Finn, bringing up the whole incident about Finn being hesitant when it came to using the chair during the match. Because Dom mentioned, you seemed a little out of place there. I could have lost my title. And Finn, tried to brush it off and says, you know what? You have your title now. That's all that really matters. Everything's fine. And I'm going to take care of AJ Styles for you. And then you had that little segment with, Don talking about how he doesn't understand time zones, and JD was talking about, how they work and everything, because Liv is currently in Japan right now. So it's like a completely different thing when it comes to how things are with us compared to her. I'm not going to look up times when it comes to what time it is in Japan right now, but you get what I mean. We have different time zones around the world. So it's 12:09 in the morning right here. It's going to be in California. It's going to be like 9:09
right now. PM. In Tokyo, it's 1:09 p.m. They are 13 hours ahead of us.
Yep. So there we go right there. So it's like, it was a little funny thing in the back. I got a good laugh out of it.
Oh, same. Even though Dom travels to different countries for his job and he forgot the time zones a thing. And I love how JD literally used the light bulb in a skull. Like, all right, so sun is here. The world goes around. And I love how he just used the visual type of representation of how time zone works. And I love that. But my question that I want to connect the Dom stuff to also something we saw backstage earlier when Jey Uso was walking out. We saw Finn Balor speaking to Roxanne once again. Do you think any of that? Because remember how last week we saw that when Finn was talking to Roxanne. Now we have this a second time. You have any thoughts about this?
Oh, did you ever... Now that you bring it up, did you ever happen to see what that clip was about?
No, I didn't, but I could check it while you talk.
All right. So when it comes to that, it's obviously something that's going to be planned. when it comes to the sort of direction that Finn wants to take Roxanne in the future. Because we always have these segments in the back, and some people might look at it where it's like, oh, it's nothing. You know, it's just two people in the back talking while there's an interview going on or whatever. But for the most part, you know, they're done for a reason. Because before American Made was formed, you saw a lot of moments in the back when they were having these interviews where Chad Gable was talking to the Creed brothers, and then he was talking to Ivy Nile. And then that eventually led into this faction and becoming a thing. So the reason why I brought that up is to bring a comparison to this, where this is the second week now, like Vash mentioned, where we had Finn Balor talking to Roxanne Perez. And to me, if I had to make a prediction, just based on how things are orchestrated right now, I would assume maybe Roxanne might be put in a position to either screw over Liv and Raquel when it comes to their tag titles. Maybe that's how Giulia gets inserted in that, because you obviously know that Finn Balor isn't going to be involved with the Judgment Day that much longer, so maybe this is him venting out his frustration when it comes to a lot of the people that are in the group right now, because he probably got fed up with how they talked about him all the time, which we've seen that now and again, like a lot of times, you know, not just, you know, the whole thing of Dom confronting him and seeing a little paranoid with Finn tonight when it came to him bringing up the chair. But there's a lot of Judgment Day segments in the back where they're always like poking Finn. Like they're always saying something to really piss him off. So it could easily be one of those things where maybe Giulia is not involved. I'm just throwing it in there for a possibility. But it could just be something for Roxanne to insert herself in, because maybe that's like one of the tricks up Finn's sleeve where it's like he's plotting something behind the scenes to get his revenge on Dom and everybody else in the Judgment Day. Like that's the only thing I can really think of. I don't know what it is going to be beyond that, but obviously if she is being inserted in this position, I would assume it would probably help benefit her in the long run, because you know that's
to have a few of Liv as well, right?
Yeah. Because it's like that is like, that was random when I first saw it, because I was like, oh wow, you know, they have two different things going on right now. You got Giulia button heads of Iyo and Rhea, and then you have, you know, Finn Balor dealing with, you know, everything that's going on in his head when it comes to Dom and all that. So it's like when I saw them, I was like a little confused. But it could easily be one of those things, or maybe Finn might want to help her gain something. If, you know, I do you a favor, do me a favor, some sort of thing. That's the only thing I can really think of. I mean, like I mentioned, it could just be something to help get Roxanne in a spot where she needs to be. I don't think it's going to be another Judgment Day faction, because, I mean, Finn's trying to leave that. Why would he just make another group that doesn't really make any sense? That's counterproductive. So I'm just gonna stick what I said and just saying that it probably has to do with some sort of thing where it's like, okay, I got a trick up my sleeve if these people are going to continue to piss me off. Like I'm plotting behind their back. That's what I can think of. I don't know what else it could be.
I could see that. That's a good type of vision to see what could be what Finn is developing on the side, so he doesn't get backstabbed. He has his own type of backup, because Roxanne might be by herself moving forward, because Roxanne, in those quick 28 seconds of a clip that I just saw, Roxanne was telling Giulia, like, we came to the main roster to make moves, we came to set a direction, but right now we're not doing what we planned. And Giulia responded, there is no we, and just walk away. So maybe they are already breaking up after only a couple weeks, already trying to do something, or maybe it's only a little fight within the relationship, but still come back together next week. So that's all we got in this little conclusion of their backstage type of development of a situation.
I feel like that. I feel like what the second thing you said is probably like the one that makes the most sense, because it's normal for them to feel frustrated after a match. Because you see things like that happen time and time again, where it's like, oh, fuck, we just lost. They vent out the frustration.
Exactly.
So that's how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, he's just angry, you're frustrated, you're pissed off. So it makes sense for Roxanne, and that's a connection to Finn. But then the continuation about Dom learning his own type of science when it comes to time zone. We had the actual match of AJ Styles and Finn Balor, and this match was amazing. I was locked in with Watkins on this match. Was fantastic.
Oh,
It was great to
yes.
see. I thought Finn was actually gonna take the win over AJ Styles on this one. I thought there was a
It
few
was
times
close.
they had me close. A few times like, oh, Finn's gonna take his W. He took a W on Penta a few weeks ago. Now he's gonna take a W on AJ Styles. Oh, can we get it Finn back? And no, Finn got a phenomenal form and got taken out and got pinned. I'm like, okay, here's what it is.
I will say this, though.
What's up?
I don't mind that because of what we got after. Is that's
Yes.
because just to get my thoughts on the match, I mean, AJ Styles, Finn Balor. You're gonna expect a banger out of this. These guys know each other very well. Another thing that you brought up, since Michael Cole was bringing up Stardom with Roxanne, not Roxanne, with Giulia and Iyo Sky and everything. He also brought up the Bullet Club, and they didn't normally speak about that as much, like in past WWE. That wasn't always back.
I believe the last time they brought it up was when Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles, right? I believe that was the last time they brought up last year during their feud. That was the last time I remember them bringing it up.
Yep. Yeah, I remember Cody bringing that up. Yeah, so it's like, with that, you were expecting a good match out of these two. They know each other very well. They're both former Bullet Club members. And there was a lot of good spots here. I
do want to mention the one that I wrote down. The double lariat was fucking amazing. That was such a good execution of how the double lariat was, of how the spot, the transition, the counters of fucking AJ Styles and Finn. The way how there was a double lariat, but then there was a transitional from AJ Styles from doing his submission and transitioning that into a pinfall, but then Finn took out the pinfall, and then AJ Styles transitioned from the pinfall into the into AJ Styles special. I think it's not the phenomenal form. AJ's Crash, I believe, or AJ Style Crash, I think it's called. I forgot what it's called.
Styles Clash.
Styles Clash. And then to transition into the Style Clash, it was fucking phenomenal. I guess pun intended too. Great transition in that. There was beautiful spots of how they kept going back and forth, but it shows of how both of them have worked together so well, and they know their history, so they know how they move, and it was just beautiful counters after counters. I felt like I was watching a grappling match, but more of just two men going back and forth within their high top moves and the kind of basement moves, and I really love that.
He also was able to reverse that into a Styles Clash pretty easily too.
Yes.
But another thing I do want to bring up about this match itself, there's a lot of good technical wrestling in this. Yes, because I don't know if you noticed, but AJ Styles is really trying to work on Finn Balor's leg, and he put him in the calf crusher, which is one of AJ Styles' submission moves, and he used that to his advantage to really weaken Finn, so he really wasn't able to move around in the ring. Because one of the ways that Finn Balor sets up his finisher, the coup de grace, is he ends up running towards him, and then he kicks him in front of the turnbuckle, and then they lay out, and then he pretty much hits that stomp. If you start aiming at his feet and everything, you start working on one of his legs, he's not going to be able to execute that move. It's almost like you're going up against somebody who uses a choke slam. Okay, you got to work on the arms, because he won't be able to finish me off if he doesn't have the strength in that arm really pull off that move. So it's really smart thinking when it came to what AJ Styles was doing when he was really trying to weaken him, so he really wasn't able to pull that move off. But the other thing I wanted to mention as well is Penta's involvement towards the end, which I'm really excited for, because this is a very big moment for Penta. Because if you're paired with AJ Styles, that's big. But Penta
is huge, and I'm excited to see that match. I believe Watkins' exact words "Oh, this is gonna cook," and I'm like, yes. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. We have AJ and Penta versus Finn and JD. Like, that's gonna be a great match because JD is gonna sell the living shit out of that match. Finn and them are gonna go toe to toe. Also, I want to add, I love when Finn does his sling blade. Just something about that move, the way he does it, is so cocky, but yet so executed so well that it just, I don't know, it's just like a work of art. Like, whenever Finn
Oh
does
yeah.
his sling blade, it just looks fucking amazing. It looks phenomenal.
Oh yeah. It was also because of Penta that gave AJ the distraction to hit the phenomenal forearm on Finn, so he was able
Yes.
to win the match as well. And another thing I
Which
want,
was kind of weird to not see him have the elbow thing because he still did the move set without having it on him. So
Yeah.
it kind of looked weird without him to actually move it down. I'm like, that looks off. Like, but sure, it still makes it work. I'm like, yeah, he did it, he executed, but still felt weird to just to see him do the emote without actually having it on.
and another thing I wanted to bring up as well is the fact that you had this whole thing with Dom being brought up earlier where he was questioning Finn's actions. And then we obviously had Finn try to calm him down about everything. And the reason why I bring that up is because you had everybody else on the Judgment Day coming out to try to help
But
Finn
where
win
was
this
he?
match. There was no Dom.
Where was he? What's your theory? You got any? Because I don't.
I don't think he was in a certain place. He was just in the back.
Okay, yeah,
So
same.
that's so pretty
Same.
much telling
Like,
us that he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't trust him, which has been a common
yeah,
theme for a while now.
yeah. It kind of looked like, who's your frenemies? Like, do you trust your friends that are around you, or do you trust your enemies more? So it's kind of like that. Like, he's still your friend, but you want him around you because you know he'll betray you. But how soon or how close will he betray you? You know, that type of thing is still questionable. So I kind of like that, but also worried about that.
Yeah, because you end up seeing him even giving Finn weird eyes, like even after he left to prepare for his match. So that probably
Yeah.
played into that as well. Which I guess I can't really blame him for reacting that way, because it's like if there was a point in my match where I was about to lose my title because one of my buddies wasn't helping me, if I was a heel and that's how I was playing the game at the time, I probably would be a little ticked off too. So even though he came up to me, he's like, "Oh, you still have the title, everything's fine," I'd be like, "Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, you still almost cost me there and everything." Like obviously, since this is a big moment for him, he also took the advantage at WrestleMania to even pin Finn Balor to win the damn thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's gonna have that little thing in the back of his head
Anybody
where he's
will.
gonna question a lot of decisions he does moving on when it
100%. Anybody will
comes
be
to
annoyed
Finn.
about that. Anybody
Yes.
would be upset. Like, damn, I don't trust you, my guy. But hey, Penta, you did your thing. You emoted like 5 times.
Yeah.
But let's talk more about him.
Yeah, because we had Penta versus Chad Gable, which is their second match that they had with one another, because this was actually Penta's first match when he came to Monday Night Raw. Like, Chad Gable was his dance partner to pretty much
I believe
introduce everybody to
Raw on
him.
Netflix?
Yeah.
Like the first day one? Or I
No,
believe the final one. I believe it was like,
the following week.
so like January 12th. Yeah, I recall.
Yeah, this was his first opponent that was able to show the universe what he's capable of. And they really came to work. They really did a very good job throughout. Did a lot of good spots. And Penta was doing a good job when he was selling his bicep a lot within this match itself.
Yo.
Because obviously you gotta build off of what happened at Backlash. You can't just walk out of there like Pat McAfee. I mean, I'll talk about that a little bit later when it comes to that. But he obviously needs to sell that match that he had with Dom when it came to the certain things that transpired within that match itself. So it's like he was really trying to sell that. He was trying to sell whatever came out of that match and whatever transpired within this match itself, which is very smart, because that was also one of the things he was doing when he went up against Chad the first time, when Chad was trying to work on his ankle. He was really he was really selling his leg to when they had that first match with each other. And
Also, I love how you brought up about the biceps too, because that's something that anybody, because I also told Wankers during the sidecast, because he also got now stuck to lock in and look at Penta bicep. His left one that Chad Gable was working on, Penta needs to get that bicep some surgery on it. For anybody that doesn't know, he explained this in his Celtic Warrior, I believe,
Oh
in the
yeah,
workout
that is
with
true.
Sheamus, and he told Sheamus, and now the audience know, because if you watch the clip, that Penta told that he's been wrestling with his bicep being torn for the past 5 years by choice. He hasn't done it because,
Wow.
in his mindset is that he needs to make enough money where he knows that if he does a surgery, he could, take a break for a couple of months without stressing about any type of income. So that type of thing is that you got to work and bust your ass off. Previous company maybe couldn't do that. This company, maybe he could offer that. So hopefully, the best of luck when the time comes. But when Drop mentioned that he was selling the pain or the attack towards his bicep very well, in my head, I told Walkers during the sidecast, and now he's like, "Fuck, I keep staring at the bicep now," and I'm like, "That's the point." It's like, not that I told you. In my head, every time I see Penta fight or wrestle, I always stare at the biceps to know, like, is that shit good? Because sometimes it kind of bottles up, and I'm like, "Yo, Penta, you be walling ass motherfucker. Like, how do you just be wrestling with the torn type of bicep like that?" But hey, you do you. But I love how he sold that very well
Yeah.
to make it be like, is it kayfabe? Is it real? Is it not? But it just makes it work for the audience to be like, hey, that fight with Chad Gable. I do agree. I don't know if you just stated this, but I think this match was much better than the first one from back in January as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, because Penta's had a lot more time to really adjust
Yeah,
to his
get more reps
surrounding.
in.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. This was definitely a better match compared to the first one. Not taking anything away from the first match, it was really good as well.
Agree.
But I definitely do agree with that. It definitely was a lot better. They obviously know each other. They've been in the ring before, so it was nice just to see them go at it again. And another thing I liked as well is that this is a typical thing that wrestlers do, where they don't always end a match with the same move. Because normally you see Penta end the match with a Penta driver. That's one of his finishing
Yes.
moves. And when it comes to wrestlers, they have more than one finishing move. Like you have John Cena that has the attitude adjustment, he has the SDF. You have Cody Rhodes that has the Bionic Elbow. Well, that's more of a setup move. But it's like, Undertaker, I'll use him as an example. You got the choke slam, the tombstone pile driver, the last ride, etc., so on. A lot of these wrestlers have different finishers and signature moves that they use. And one of the things I like that Penta has been doing as of recent is that he does a super Mexican destroyer onto Chad Gable, and he's been using the Mexican destroyer quite a bit as of recent to finish off matches. But he did a pretty explosive one on Chad Gable where he hit it from the top rope to finish the match. And I like it. I think it's really cool how he's switching it up. It's not always the same thing. I'm pretty sure he'll use the Penta driver again, but I like how he's using this to finish off the match, and he used it in a very creative way to finish off Gable in this match. And I like how they have this little narrative where like Gable's a loser, but El Grande Americano wins. That's pretty funny.
It was funny when because I didn't write this in the quickfire segment, since this also could be mentioned for Chad Gable. He also shouted out during the commercial break that, happy for the speed champion for El Grande Americano, and I'm like, sure, I guess, yeah. Again, Americano has a speed champion, aka you. I love during the commentary that we have Michael Cole still comparing Chad Gable to a Grande Americano, still trying to point the fingers that they're all one and the same person. I would say this match was good. I love how Chad Gable and Penta also sells when Chad Gable tries to take off the mask. So they have to do like a slow process of like a fighting process. So they have to go back and forth by trying to take it off, not take it off. So it kind of makes it work very well and very believable. So that's one thing I appreciate as a fan.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I really like that. That was really nice.
Other than that, I don't got nothing more other than what leads up to the rest of the American Made.
Yeah, we got our boys, the Creed brothers, going up against the War Raiders in a tag match. And this match wasn't bad. I mean, it was a pretty good match. New Day was really out there just to watch the match itself, seeing how everything played out. I'm not sure if this was mentioned in comments. Did the commentary ever mention this was like a match to determine who their next challengers are going to be or anything?
Yes, it was. Me and Walkers was fucking hella laughing and distracting from the commentary that we still pay attention towards the match. But the commentary between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods with Michael Cole and Pat McAfee was pretty interesting. It was very distracting. They were arguing with each other during the commercial break, during the fight. Michael Cole was trying to still do his job. Be like, hey, guys, we are not paying attention towards the fight. Let's do our job and do what we gotta do like a couple of times. And I was laughing like, yeah, Michael Cole knows that he doesn't have this show. He doesn't have this trip. Right now, he's losing badly during this argument with the New Day. So I love that it was a good commentary. Uh, chaos is what I would call it, and I appreciate it because it was very funny. It reminds me the the Usos also being on commentary and having a little type of back and forth type of banter, like back in the day with Michael Cole and whoever was his co-host during the time. So when it comes to the actual fight of the Warriors and Creed brothers, I enjoyed this. It was good. It was showing the brutality of the tag team of the War Raiders. That's something I appreciated of showing that they wanted to win. It was all about going like all out, and that's something I appreciate from. I believe his name was Eric. We also heard from commentary explaining how while Eric was out, you know, out of commission, him healing from his motorcycle surgery or some accident he had during the time, we had Ivar doing his singles competition, and the New Day was giving the flowers, was actually respecting the flowers, and him and them saying that we don't give title opportunities. People need to earn them. People need to guarantee them for themselves and make it happen. So it was pretty interesting to see that type of dynamic when it comes to Ivar and when it comes to the New Day, giving where credit is due, but still playing the heel characters as well.
Yeah, I agree. Um, yeah, I don't really have anything else to really say about this match, so I guess it's being set up as a triple threat match next week, or
Yes, we have a triple threat that's is gonna lead up to because the New Day interrupted or butted in when it comes to Ivar and Eric for the War Raiders.
oh,
They
okay.
didn't like this, spoke to Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce like, yo, you know what? You want to get into their business? I'm gonna put their business in your business. And instead of having a Creed Brothers versus you on a singles match, I'm gonna have a triple threat. So I like how they're continue to build up
Yeah,
from what they learned from WrestleMania in the past 6 months of their heel work. They're building up the War Raiders to be more front and center. And I think they're learning from their good side of the tag titles and SmackDown on how those title has been in rotation in storyline and having 5 other tag team participants involved within the title scene. So I believe they're learning and try to replicate that magic into the magic of Raw right now, having the War Raiders, having the Creed Brothers, and now the New Day having their own type of triple threat. Hopefully, is a good sell match for this Monday. If not, I'm okay if they put it for Saturday night main event. I'd love to see a triple threat match for the tag titles on a POE.
yeah. It all depends how they really orchestrate things in the long run,
Yeah,
but
agree.
with that in mind, I don't really have anything else to say outside of this.
No, I'm ready to talk about Slim Shady.
Yeah, so we had Becky Lynch come out, and she was pretty much trying to dive into this whole character where she's really trying to get the audience to just not like her. She's trying to play her part as a heel. She's trying to pretty much, you know, bring up the thing that people say about her when it comes to her being greedy. She admits it. when it comes to her being selfish. She admits it, pretty much saying like, okay, you want this version of Becky Lynch that a lot of you guys talk online and say about me. Okay, here you go. You're going to get exactly that. And yeah, I saw the little Eminem memes, and I wouldn't be surprised if I go on TikTok or somebody posts a video on Twitter. You got Becky Lynch.
She already
a little
had that
edit.
on her IG, no, not her IG story, on her Twitter. She had this where a girl was walking out of the bus, and she had the little small 10-second clip of saying that, what was this? Girl up, Miguel. I am whatever you say I am. And the line continues, if I wasn't, why would I say I am? And I love that. She's acknowledging knowing the line that she said and telling the audience, like, hey, if you want me to be selfish, I am selfish. You want me to be greedy? I am fucking greedy. You want me to be a bitch? Guess what? I'm a fucking bitch then. So I love how she's playing more to the heel role and being more like, I prefer more the heel Becky that we're getting today than more the awkwardness of 3 weeks ago after WrestleMania of her kind of turning heel on Lyra. It was very awkward and everything, but I love how we're getting where we are now. And it feels much better and refreshing in that aspect, if that makes sense. More like, okay, we have more explanation. She's trying to be cocky. She's trying to be the badass. She's trying to be like, hey, one thing I did like about this promo, she spoke fact about one thing. Lyra is relevant, but not because of Lyra as a character or who she is. She is relevant because of Becky for her IC title reign. Because her IC title has been lackluster, but because of Becky being involved with this, her IC title reign is going up. It needs to continue improving, but it's going up. The stock is going up for this one.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. Like, she really needs to like lay it out if she really wants people to really get behind this heel character, because I've seen a lot of people at first when she turned on Lyra that it wasn't anything with Lyra, it was more with Becky when it comes to, I won't say the attack itself, it was mainly like after, like the following week, everything that she was coming out of the words of mouth, a lot of people were having a hard time believing her as a heel when it comes to like how she was, when it comes to how she was putting herself out there, because there's a difference where you can tell like the tone in someone's voice when it sounds like a dirty, nasty heel, and then when it comes to Becky, you know, she just it also comes in a way, you know, actually, you know what, I'll bring up John. It's like John, you know, John's trying to be a heel right now, and it doesn't seem like John, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
because
a lot of people on the timeline says it looks awkward, or it kind of looks too forceful. Like,
but yeah, that's
during the press conference, like during the press conference, it looks like he's overacting.
Yeah,
like people need to understand.
Is.
Oh, he's a bad actor. Like, motherfuckers, have you seen Peacemaker? Have you seen a few other of his projects? You know, over the past couple of years.
No,
he's actually a good actor. He's a good comedian when it comes to that. He has good timing. James Gunn and other people speak very highly in his acting skill. Can he be overkilling it when it comes to his role as John Cena, the character in the WWE? Could be, but maybe that's the point of what he's trying to go for. Because remember, Chad, he's trying to ruin wrestling for us.
Yep. But it's
so, like I'm mixed towards what you're saying as well. Like, when it comes to Becky, like, is she being overly heel? She could be, because also she is getting praised by the audience as well.
Yeah,
nobody's booing her, so she's getting the same type of love like Seth is when his song comes out. Like, but everyone is screaming.
Or even with John too, when he comes out.
Yeah, same thing with John. So like, this is 2025 where the heels are getting not booed, they're getting cheered still.
Yeah, but one of the things I am hoping that comes out of this is, since she laid out all these ground rules, I want to see how this evolves, like the next time she comes in contact with Lyra, or whatever she says the next time we see her with a microphone, even if Lyra's not there. Because I know the reason why Lyra wasn't here tonight is because she had to sell what happened towards the end of the match on Saturday.
Right?
Because
and the arm, I believe.
Yeah, because she had her in the disarmor. So she obviously had to sell that, because you can't have her, you know, coming out there attacking Becky or everything, because realistically, if she were to be on the show, she would have to sell the attack by having like her arm in a
Like
sling.
some arm brace. Yeah.
Yeah. So I understood why she wasn't here. That made complete sense, because if it was me or you in that position where we went up against somebody like that, we would probably have to be off TV until the following week before we were able to make a return if we got, you know, attacked like that. It's like when Cody got that pile driver from KO. He was gone for a couple weeks. He came back. He was trying to sell it, and you saw him come back where he had a sling, and you know, he had a sling, and he was coming out to really sell the effect of it. So I expect that with Lyra whenever she comes back. Obviously not super serious or anything. It's just playing into the whole story. But let's hope that we see something like come out of this.
Agreed.
Like after she said all this stuff. Let's see what it turns into. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. But I will admit at first I was confused what she was saying. I will say that. I was really like lost in the promo at first. But
where did it lead to? Is like, where's the big question? Like, where's this going towards? Because we didn't see Bailey on Backlash. We thought a lot of people thought
I'm happy
maybe
she
Bailey's
wasn't.
would appear because she kept trying to say the name. Yeah. So maybe we might lead into something to Money in the Bank, or we might lead into something to build up the feud for maybe SummerSlam. You know, Becky versus Bailey might happen for SummerSlam. So all these things, it depends on the build up and where the direction will go.
Yeah, because I was one of those people that wanted Bailey, but then after looking at it, I was like, you know what, this is Lyra's moment, and they really wanted to have that attack after the match to really sell. And if you had Bailey come back, that would have taken away from the moment. And that whole match itself was really there to help establish Lyra and put her on another stratosphere, which that's what it ended up doing. A lot of people were into her. A lot of people were starting to open their eyes a little bit more. But definitely down the line, you'll probably get that whole Bailey thing. But I'm expecting like a more vicious Becky, just basically going off of what a lot of people are saying. She's just going to do whatever she wants. Like, you want to get these good moments that put a smile on your face, she's just going to rip it right from you. Like, that's what I'm sort of expecting out of this now.
Same. And I'm here for it. I can't wait to see I am whatever you say I am. And if I wasn't, why would I say I am?
So with that in mind, we're going to move on to our quick fire segments. So we talked about the show itself when it came to everything that happened. Now we're going to talk about a couple other things. And there was some things in here, because I know you and Watkins watch it without the ads. I watch it with the ads. So outside of a couple things here, like I know about the Sheamus match with the whole thing with Waller. I didn't really catch the whole Grayson Waller and Austin Theory thing backstage. Like on my end, they cut to like the whole segment ending, and then they went right back to the show, wherever it was at that part of the show, like whatever segment or match they were leading to. I don't remember the placement. But did they say anything in Pacific, or was it just about Sheamus and Grayson Waller talking crap about him, or what was it?
So it was quick because Chad, when it comes to sidecast, me and Watkins are doing without the VPN just to have a less headache of the hassle, or wait onto Twitter to see what we missed. So we just have straightforward. And if you guys were not the only ones that missed it, like dropped it, this is what happens. We had, Jackie interviewing Grayson and Austin. Grayson apologizing like, yo, buddy, I'm sorry that you couldn't be, Sheamus last week. And Austin was like, well, if I was prepared, I could have defeated him, but since I wasn't. And then Grayson was like, yo, but I spoke to Adam. Since I'm such a nice guy, I have given you another opportunity. And Austin stops him right there, be like, no, you know what? I'm a nice guy too, and I spoke to Adam Pearce, and I set up a match for you and Sheamus one-on-one, and you could go with him. And after that, it continues to show the tension between both of them. That, like I told Watkins, my theory is that we will get a Grayson Waller versus Austin Theory at SummerSlam for night 1 or night 2. We're going to continue building this up, and finally their team dynamic is going to fall short by SummerSlam finally. It took a year, And probably by then, if it happens by SummerSlam, it took a year and 4 months, Chad, roughly, for this event to finally go and happen. So that's one. And then it lead up to continuing when it comes to Natalia and Maxine Dupree was with Tozawa,
I did
and
see this.
they were supporting Tozawa, saying Tozawa wants a match against Rusev. I want a match against Rusev. And it seems like Tozawa was not medically clear. So then Anna Pierce said, yo, when you come back next week, we could follow up with that idea and maybe we might do that. So then Maxine Dupree and Natalia's like, okay, we'll talk about it. They move out the way. We had our boy Sheamus walks in and he said, yo, so that match with Grayson Waller and everything is good. Great. I'm happy. I had a good and big surprise last week. Everything came out right. Me coming back from my event. And it's nice to see him again against Grayson Waller. I'm curious to see how's that gonna go. Any type of build up. But that's what happened for those two events. We also have the connection of Rusev.
Yeah,
He had
I
a
saw
promo.
that. I saw
How
that.
did he feel about this promo? Since I know you're a much bigger fan and know more of him, I'd rather you take that away.
Yeah, so the only thing I really missed out was the whole Grayson Waller and Austin Theory thing. But I did see the Alpha
but not
Academy.
much about him.
Yeah. But I mean, basically what I saw with Sheamus was honestly all I really needed to see, really. So I really wasn't missing anything out. The Alpha Academy thing I did see. So, I mean, that was kind of like a given when you saw those two interact last week. But I really like the whole thing with Rusev now because you pretty much have him, you know, setting some ground rules when it comes to what he's after and what his like goals are when it comes to the sort of people that he's going after. And I really like how he's on his own. He's a little bit different this time because he's not with Aiden English, the whole Rusev Day thing. He's not with his wife, or she's coming out here as his valet and helping him out with any sort of thing. Like, he's out there cutting promos on his own so people know his goal, what he's trying to achieve, and it really brings like a different dynamic to his character instead of who he was before. Like, it seems like he's bringing in his Redeemer gimmick when it comes to what he was doing over in AEW and having his own little spin on it in WWE.
I see what you mean.
And I really like that because a more serious Rusev, it gives me hope that there's going to be good things for him in the future when it comes to the sort of goals that they have in mind for him. So that makes me really happy when it comes to that.
I did like the line that he did say, and I'm glad for Walker's already down. Don't let the sheep guide the wolf. I love that line. It was beautiful. It like, don't let the blind guide the people that need to see.
Yeah,
that makes no sense. Like, how does that work? The last thing that it was said throughout the show and that Job alluded to in the beginning during the conversation involving Gunther, it was his opponent, Pat McAfee, came late to work because he needed to get medically clear from the WWE officials because everyone was asking, yo, how you doing, brother? How you doing, man? Are you good? Are you mentally there after this match against Gunther? And, you know, Pat McAfee came late and he interrupted the match of, you know, Chad Gable versus Penta because why would you come in the middle of the match? And Chad Gable was a bit pissed, like, yo, why are you coming out? And Michael Cole was excited to be with him during the commercial break. Pat McAfee did another promo or did like a flashback of a montage of how his match with Gunther was, and he told the audience of the people that was there in the arena, you know, thank you for having the faith and the love and his back. But it was a cool promo and a cool hype, but I didn't really need to be told that he need to get, you know, medically approved and everything because like you're a commentator. So for me, that knowledge as a fan, I didn't really need to care for. How about you, Drop?
Yeah. I mean, it was what it was, and it's like I mentioned earlier about the whole Lyra thing. Like you're gonna see her coming back selling what happened. One of the things I wasn't necessarily a big fan of is he wasn't really selling what happened at Backlash when it came to him and Gunther. Like there wasn't any sort of like signs outside of like all the welts that he had on his body when it came to that.
When the cameraman zoomed into his chest, it just looked like a regular chest in pain. And I'm like, it didn't really show anything. I
Yeah,
would have rather have Pat McAfee not come to work today,
that's what
and
yeah.
Wade Barrett would have
Yeah.
transitioned in, or maybe have Corey Graves is like, hey, the guy that I don't like got hurt and beat up by Gunther, but I'm taking his job today. Something funny and something more type of meaningful. But to have Pat McAfee come to work and say, oh, I need to get medically clear, I'm like, so that means Gunther, of course, he beat you up, gave you respect at the end of the match, but you didn't need to come to work.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's honestly like all I really took from it. Really, it's like, okay, he's here. That's it. It's just the only thing I really wish is there was like a little more to that whole thing where it's like, I got to come out with a little something. I mean, I mean, I'm not saying he didn't, because he did show the welts on his chest, and I guess he said he popped the blood vessel or whatever, but I was expecting a little more out of that. But out of everything, I wasn't expecting him to be on the show like you mentioned. So him being on here tonight caught me off guard, because you could have easily had, like you said, Wade Barrett come there, because Wade Barrett was there during that match when it was happening. So if they wanted to have him there for that one show, and he could have took that flight to the SmackDown show, wherever, that would have been completely fine. I mean, you would think after something like that, he would have to sell the effects for it, at least for a week.
Yeah, agree.
But
probably post a picture, like, still do your work of your stuff at ESPN, and talk about like, yo, my chest hurt, that shit stings out here, nothing. But you didn't have to come to WWE. Like, that one was not needed.
No, definitely not at all. Like, I don't know, it is what it is. Hopefully you get another incident like this in the near future. Hopefully we could do a little more selling in that department. But other than that, guys, that was Raw. That was pretty much our thought process on a lot of the matches, segments, and our quick fire segments. So I'm going to get my final thoughts on the show, like when it comes to how I feel about it overall, and then I'll move on to Vash. So when it comes to my thoughts on this episode of Monday Night Raw, obviously the CM Punk stuff, when it comes to him, Sammy, Seth, and Braun, super invested in. Absolutely love this story. Really excited to see how it's going to evolve, especially when that third man gets revealed. And of course, whenever Roman Reigns returns, it's just going to be really interesting to see him and CM Punk on the same playing field, because that's just a moment in itself. And it makes sense, because it's not like it came out of nowhere. They both looked at each other at WrestleMania. They both knew, like, yeah, we both got screwed over here. So it's eventually going to lead into them working alongside each other. So it's going to be interesting to see that take place. Great main event between Rhea, Giulia, and Roxanne Perez. Really excited to see where things are going to go with them. I'm guessing that whole thing of her and Roxanne in the back was just two girls just venting, and they'll be fine the next week or so, because that happened so much with Roxanne and Cora, like numerous times, and they were fine the following week. And it's also like a normal thing that you see with girls, so they should be fine. AJ Styles and Finn Balor thing, super excited for that match. If AJ and Penta gets Finn and JD, like walk and sit on your sidecast, that should be a banger. And then the Becky Lynch promo, like after thinking about it, I'm sort of seeing her vision when it comes to what's going on. We'll give a little quick final thoughts there. It seems like she's going to be turning into a mercenary, just to take out all of the women that we like. So when it comes to like the Lyra Valkyria or Iyo Sky, just throwing out a couple names, for example, whoever you like, Vash, she's just gonna rip them from you. You're never gonna see them again. So that's essentially like, oh, what's she's just gonna be an assassin. She's just gonna go after everybody we like, take away all your favorite toys and video games. You're not gonna be able to just have all of those things that you love. That, to us, that means no more anime, manga, video games. She'll take everything that you love and cherish to your heart. That's essentially what Becky's gonna do, and I'm interested. You see a little a Becky being a little assassin, going on her mission to just, I guess in a way, be her own version of Thanos and just wipe everybody from existence, pretty much. And other than that, really love what Rusev's doing. Really happy about that. And Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention. We have our Money in the Bank matches, qualifying matches starting on Friday, and then that's going to transition until next Monday. So we'll talk more about that when it comes to our Friday coverage of the show. But what is your thoughts? What is your final thoughts for the episode of Raw tonight?
Roxanne is great. Rhea's great. Giulia's fucking amazing. She's not Barry. And Iyo Sky is a champion. She took the W with Rhea, and we might get some match of them in the future. And Rhea may get another loss, or she may finally get her belt back. But until then, stay tuned. We had Penta and Chad, great match. We had the World Raiders continue getting pushed, continue getting shown. We have a triple threat with them for the main titles with the New Day. We have Becky Lynch promo, which was honestly very good. A bit rocky in the beginning, but then once we led up to the connection about the Slim Shady and how she said, "Yo, y'all want to talk my shit? Yeah, y'all want to say who I am, but that's not who I am. But you know what? If y'all want to call me this, I'll do who I am, and I become that person you speak so highly of." So I really appreciated that. And Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, getting to choose or grab a flower, say, you love me, you hate me. You love me, you hate me. Just go from there. Just pick the line and call it day.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. And when it comes to the Rusev, I just want to see you destroy. I want to be you and see you in havoc. That's all I got. This was a good Monday Night Raw. Can't wait for this Friday. Can't wait for Grappling of the Week chat. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a killing conversation. And Friday Night SmackDown is going to be fun as always.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially with all the news leading up to our Thursday show. So that should be exciting. Stay tuned for that. We'll try to gather as much news as we possibly can leading into that. But with that out of the way, I want to thank all of you guys for taking the time out of your night to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. And if you enjoyed what we had to say, check out our social media when it comes to our Instagram, when it comes to our Twitter, when it comes to the YouTube channel you're watching right now, when it comes to the TikTok, when it comes to the Twitch, which is the Anime We Studio Twitch, where you guys can check out Vash and Watkins' reactions to Raw and whenever they do their live reactions to the PLEs. You should have checked that all out. Also, if you guys look at the little sidebar down below, you got the Anime We Studio, which is the brand account. Be sure to check that out. Be sure to check out Legend T Vash. You can see what's going on in Vash's head on his X. Be sure to check out mine when it comes to whatever I'm talking about, whatever's going on with me. Same thing at Watkins. Also, the Weebs of the Ring Twitter account. Be sure to follow that so you guys get to know what's going on with us when it comes to shows or whatever comes to mind. If you have anything planned, be sure to do so. And also be sure to use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring to interact with us about anything regarding wrestling before, during, or after our shows. And as always, feedback is appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning in. Weebs of the Ring is presented by SNME Studios. Thanks to our production team for all of their hard work. Thank you once again for joining us, and remember, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody. We will see you guys this Thursday for Grappling with the Week. Hopefully, we got some good news for you guys this week. Hopefully, it's not dry. Hopefully, some crazy things come out that we could talk about with you guys. And we'll see you then. Have a good night, everybody.
Cero miedo. I am what you say I am.